Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mike with Just Another G.I. Joe show. Sorry we're a few minutes late, and then we're a couple of guests late. We're still working on it. Fred, go ahead and tell people where they can find you while I'm texting Bobby back again.
Hello, my name is Fred, and I'm a G.I. Joe addict. Oh, wait, wrong meeting. Hi, I'm Fred, owner and admin of JoeBattleLines.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Plus for the 7 of you that still use it, and on the World Wide Web at Joe Battle Lines. Hey, one word. Mike calls it branding.
Branding 101.
And while Mike's busy, our third compatriot right now, I will allow to introduce himself. Rick, take it away.
Yeah, I'm Rick. You can find me on Twitter as Shattered Glass Jazz.
That just sounds like you've got the smoothest delivery on that. I'm picturing that's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Shattered Glass. It just cracks me up. I love it.
I can be pretty smooth. That's true.
I picture you having this after hours Transformers show with some Coltrane playing in the background, and you're today we're gonna talk about a masterpiece. Oh yeah.
Pump up the volume, that old movie with Christian Slater. It's got
oh yes.
He had the Sergeant. I remember watching it. I watched it again recently, and he has a Marauder Sgt Slaughter just sitting on the soundboard. I know.
Oh man,
6 degrees of Joe, just for you.
It's weird how many movies you'll just randomly watch, and especially from the 80s. And if you start looking in the background, you're like, hey! Yeah. I was watching Princess Bride, and I was oogling all the toys on Fred Savage's shelf, back there.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, but he's got some Joes and some He-Man, and I'm like, man, it's kind of awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're still waiting for Bobby and John.
Yeah, our 2 figure guys are late. Go figure, he said.
Well, Bobby says he's on a call, but we're not there.
All right, Mike, send him a new link. So,
I've sent him this link through email, and I just sent it through text message now. So maybe he could work it out through a text message.
Okay, the big news of the week, before we even talk about individual reveals and everything, the JoeCon set is sold out for A Real American Hero.
Yep.
And registration's only been 2 weeks?
8 days.
8 days. It's amazing when you do a final year of something. Holy crap. So for those of you that are unaware, the club has sent out a message to members, which is basically if you want a non-attending set or an extra bagged set, you can get put on a mailing list. So you have to send them an email. You have to tailor your subject line, et cetera, et cetera. But they're going to look into doing another production run.
Right. It's actually the email is waitlist@funpubinc.com. That is the only place you're allowed to send it. Don't send through a regular email or call them. They said to send to waitlist@funpubinc.com.
And this is, I think, only the second time that they've gone back and produced more of something like this. Yes. Operation Bear Trap, the October Guard set, sold out within seconds. It felt like, and so this is it, But then again, this is also the last year of a 15-figure Fun Pub box set. So if you're thinking of going, kids, get on the waiting list, because that is kind of a big deal. So
also, while we're waiting, hopefully he's figuring it out. I don't know. Haven't heard back from him. We had talked about 3 weeks ago or so. We had hit over. Hey, send him your email that you linked up on to Bobby, would you?
Okay.
Because it's not working for him still. Tell him, I guess, close out or something. I don't know. Shit.
Yeah, I got something here that. Well, hold on. Bobby tried to get in on a previous link, it looks like.
Yeah, I think it was weird that it did that. It did the first thing. I think that's where you stuck it.
You guys filibuster a minute, talk amongst yourselves, and I'll see if I can figure this out. So,
all right. We decided to do a giveaway because we had reached 400 subscribers on the Just Another G.I. Joe show on Facebook. Since then, we've gotten 88 more people. So we're at 488, 207 on YouTube. And so we decided to give away this autographed big boa. No, a big boa.
Big lob.
Big lob. I ain't giving away no big loa. Shit. So I'm going to get the stuff together. I'm actually going to do a live feed on the other page. Gosh, we are very bad today. Oh my goodness, it's so bad. This is awful. So we're going to do this here in just a second. Hold on one sec, Rick. I hope they figure out what's going on. Because, I did the, I set up the link, and it's like something automatically popped up right away. And it said something about him being there. Hey, Gracie. This is bad. This started off so bad.
That's okay. I'm trying to type a message to him, and I'm using Firefox Quantum. And let's just say that I'd like to use another word than Fox, because this is the worst browser in the history of humanity. I have never had a browser with a time delay on typing before.
Give you that box right there.
But remember, kids, it's faster than Google Chrome. That's right. According to those ads, this is faster than Chrome. I know this has nothing to do with G.I. Joe. I know that basically you're all like, what the hell is he rambling about? Yeah.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I got a box here. Stay here, Gracie. And we had 94 people who did that did everything we asked correctly, and we wrote down all 94 names on this thing. So
nice.
We're going to draw a name here. I'm live on Facebook Live right now as well for the people who don't use, I guess, YouTube.
Wait a minute. That's too much live mic at one time. I'm just saying.
You can't get enough of this mic, baby.
God, he's everywhere. He's on my phone. God.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
For everyone watching here on Facebook Live, we're getting ready to do the drawing for the free Big Lob figure. And I'm not going to look. Full name out. Just one. Oh, Lord, I can't read my daughter's handwriting. It's so horrible, isn't it? It wasn't the 9-year-old, it was the 17-year-old who did it, not this one.
Fred Meyer.
Les,
wait, that's not.
It's Les. Cotting. Kotting. Les Cotting. Kotting. God, my kid can't. Public education, I swear to God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the technical skills of Mike Till.
Yeah, hey, I might not have my own theme music, but, I can do everything else okay.
I feel like I need to get a harmonica now and give you your own theme music. I don't know why a harmonica.
Just look up the theme for The Greatest American Hero. I think that would fit Mike
Oh.
perfectly.
Now I'm picturing Mike when he's younger with like that Ralph Hinckley like blonde fro that he had, you know, and he's like flying around like, oh.
Right. There you go.
That show was epic.
It was.
God, that show was so cheesy, but I loved every minute. Well, okay, since our other two folks are missing in action, and Mike's apparently waving his hand around talking to his daughter. Rick Scarlet Strike Force #2 came out, I believe, this past week.
It sure did.
I have not read it yet. I did see that there was one review. I don't remember what website it was. It was one of like the comic sites that was less than kind.
I just tweeted. I tweeted a GIF of a dumpster fire, and I thought that said everything. I also said that it was the worst IDW comic that I've ever bought, and I have a lot of IDW comics. It's
but
horrible.
I mean, like, okay, but like dinosaurs and G.I. Joe, there's a precedent for it in the fact that we had the Dino Hunters back in the day. How can this not be awesome?
One word. Can I say one word? Scissors. Yeah, and
that makes me sad.
Yeah, the artist did a good job though. So I thought the art was pretty good.
That's one thing I can't get behind. I don't care anything, but if I can get past, hot damn, there is Bobby, and he's wearing Tiger Force. God dog it, I'm so happy.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, see there, Fred? Ooh, in your face. Hey everybody, there is Bobby Vala, and I know Bobby has something he has to say real quick.
Mike, hold on. Bobby, say something, because I want to look at the room behind you. It looks a lot different than the last time we saw it.
Yeah, I've had some work done.
Golly, it's nice.
Getting,
it's like the warehouse from Raiders.
My new acquisition all the way back there.
Standing tall, baby.
Every home needs one.
Every home needs one. My flag and my Defiant.
Oh, so. That makes me cry. It's so beautiful.
What's not beautiful is trying to piece it together.
With the Defiant?
Yeah.
I'm actually got one that's going to be at a JoeCon for me when I get there.
I've been giving him pointers. I told him it's not an easy journey, but it's worth it.
It's not. I mean, so that one, my good friend has had in his attic since he was a little kid, and he kept telling me he had one, and I kept bugging him like, hey, we got to go to your parents' house and get that thing out of the attic. So finally, like, I just bugged him to the point where he was just like, all right, let's go. And, we went over there, and we were up in the attic, and I saw it, and I was like, so we're taking it down, right? He said, if you want it. And I said, all right. So I took it down. It needs a bath, but it needed a lot. It needed the umbilical cord, the ladder, pretty much almost like all the outside stuff. And I kind of went crazy. And I think I only need 7 pieces left, which isn't bad.
No, not at all. The parts count on that is crazy. That parts count is insane for that thing.
When I get a vehicle, like even when I got the flag and I needed, I don't know, I think like 10 or 12 parts, I got them in like 2 days. Because it's like when I want to piece something together.
I hear you.
So it's like every day, like 5 times a day, I check 2 things on eBay: Steel Brigade and Defiant parts. And buy up all the Defiant parts that come on.
So your kryptonite would be a Steel Brigade Defiant, is what you're saying.
Wow. Oh man. You know what? Steel Brigade's too good to go into space.
I guess before we get started and everything, I think Bobby has something he has to get out of the way before we start talking. Bobby?
Oh yeah, I keep on forgetting all that legal bullshit I'm supposed to say before I come on the podcast. That even though yes, I'm a employee of Hasbro, I am not representing them in any matter on this podcast. The views and opinions that I express are my own and not representing the company. So there we go. We got that out of the way.
No, it goes for.
And now it's time to talk about Rise of Cobra with Bobby again.
No, I didn't make a drink. I'm not talking about Rise of Cobra until I make a drink. I forgot. I got to turn the lights on.
I swear to God, he's going to have laser lights. Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah, my ambient LED lighting.
That's awesome. Here's a little bit of a snippet information. Someone had posted earlier. Who was this? Brian Greenwood had posted somewhere on Twitter where he had said something and tagged Sgt Slaughter in it. And he actually responded about, Sarge, will you be at the last G.I. Joe convention in June of this year? The theme is Slaughter's Marauders. Sgt Slaughter replied back saying, haven't received any orders yet. Would be great to put Cobra Commander in the Cobra Clutch. Yo, Joe.
Dude.
How awesome would it be to get
him
here for the last one? Slaughter's Marauder, and you don't have a Slaughter? Come on.
I figured they had already contacted. I really do. I figured that had already happened.
He would be like, okay, look, they already know with the last year people were going to show up, right? So how crazy would that be? And Brian walks out, bullhorn in hand, at the, at the first day, and announces, "We have a special guest here," and then boom, out walks the Sarge. However, I don't know, man. I hope they could get him.
I mean,
even at this late date, I would love to see the Sarge there.
They had Judd Nelson for BotCon 2016,
which was amazing.
Right. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I would think.
Well, they've had Sarge before. Sarge was at the first New Orleans con.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mike, your Christmas lights don't outdo mine.
That's okay.
Like Bobby goes for like the brightly lit, awesome collection room, and Mike's in like just another G.I. Joe show after dark.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah,
I can't.
I'm able to. When I first bought this house, there were the fluorescent lights. There was kind of like a medieval chandelier in here, and then we redid it. But then I put these cases in, and they both got lights in them. So they really light the room up more than this room's ever been lit up and dark. And then I always wanted to put Christmas lights in a room, so I did. That's just me.
All right, kids. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
We're going to go. We're going to talk about, of course, what we're going to talk about is JoeCon and what's been happening. They've gone up. They've sold out. What they're doing. We're going to look over the figures, and we'll talk about some builds. And then there's actually a little snippet, kind of we did a voting on the unofficial JoeCon page on Facebook about Hardball, his colors. So we're going to talk to Bobby about that because Bobby, I believe, can you say or not? I mean, really, have you had much input on this theme?
Not on the concept, no.
Not on the concept. Okay. So we'll leave it at that. And we will go to some screen share, which is the best thing I know to do.
Have all 4 of you or 3 of you guys signed up for the customizer class? You better say yes. Mike.
Sure.
No, don't lie to me.
No,
it's sold out like that day, right? Like that first.
Well, the first one Thursday
sold out. Wednesday might still have a few days.
I think they said there was like 12 left, maybe.
Customizing class.
Oh, yes. No, I wasn't gonna say it because I was like, oh, John's not on the call yet, but I was like, well, the reason the class sold out, right? You know why they got the celebrity guest appearance.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's a little known fact that the customizing class is actually just building Tiger Force Bobby Vala. That's the figure this year.
People don't even know who I am. They're probably like, who's Bobby Vala? I like this guy.
Sorry, I'm running a little behind tonight. I was at the repair shop waiting for the guys to get done with my truck.
No. Well, we just missed Mike doing screen share, so it's okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, Mike's rampant
All right, we're going to start off with the latest figure that was just revealed, which was this is the first modern era of a Hardball, which we knew we were getting Hardball last year once we saw that weapon that came with the 2-pack last year. As I think as soon as I sent Fred the picture, I think Fred was like, "Yeah, we're getting Hardball."
That's it. The club is not going to tool, and wisely so. They're not going to spend money to tool apart and not use it for something more than just an attendee exclusive. Mm-hmm. So with Corrosion getting it, I was surprised that we're not going to see it at least another time after this yet. So
now and I'll show the picture a little bit later, but there is a mock-up that went out where the shirt is more Marauder than what we got there. A lot of people are kind of upset that we got really, because you look the one on the right, that's the original version. And so we're going towards Marauder colors. Why are we using white where a lot of the other Marauders don't have white? People are thinking this is kind of like, we're going to get the version 1 colors during an FSS 8 or maybe the 13th figure in FS7. But they're kind of thinking maybe this is the only one we're going to get. That's why they're giving us half version 1, half Marauder. What do you guys think about it? And of course, let's talk about the build, the head, and stuff of that nature.
Do you want a hot sports opinion, or you want to let Bobby cover this first?
Y'all flip a quarter for it. I don't care.
I'm not covering anything. I'm just here to keep you guys in line. I can't comment on anything.
Oh no, I wouldn't expect that you would, Hasbro Shield.
Guess you didn't fix those mic problems.
Oh, did he go out?
Oh, he went away. Well, I gotta say, while John's fixing his audio, when I look at this, I was fully convinced that when they announced Hardball for the set, that we were also going to get Hardball in the FSS. Now that I'm seeing sort of the hybrid Hardball, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now it's a crapshoot. Like, are they going to try to put him in one more time, or is this it? I'm really hoping that we do get, because I was hoping we'd get a classic color one, but honestly, it would just be that Hardball changed his pants at this point. So, I don't know. I like the Slaughter's Marauders pants on him. The blue is kind of contrasty, whereas the mock-up, and Mike's got a copy of this, the mock-up that's floating around that someone photoshopped, man, it looks good. He looks ridiculously cool in solid Marauder colors.
He really does, and I really think, and the club has, people don't know that the figures they do have are not actually mock-ups. They're actually pre-production samples, to my understanding, which the club gets, samples of everything to basically, decide whether that's what they want. They want to change this, change that. If you went to one of Laney's panels, you would know this. If you don't, this is what they cover in their panels at JoeCon. But people want a different, people want different things. And they've changed in the past. The crosshairs, they changed crosshairs. Salvo, they changed salvo in FSS. I don't know if we're too far along. I wouldn't think we would be, since we still got 4 months, and they're talking about adding more in the next couple of months. Because of the sellout. I'm okay with it, I guess. I could go either way. Now as a collector, how do you guys feels like, you're glad we're getting a modern era one finally?
I'm glad we're getting it because it was on my short list in one of our shows. It's okay. I still like the vintage one, especially when you're showing them side by side. I wish the cap looked more like a ball cap. I think the cap he has on looks more like Stretcher's hat.
I think that hat is off of Cross Country.
So I'm not crazy about that.
That's the hat from Shock Blast.
Yeah, Shock Blast.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's the 25th.
I kind of Fred's comment makes a lot of sense. Like, maybe we're not getting one because this one is it looks like it's in both worlds, but it doesn't know which one to be. And I'd rather it be all in on either the Marauder side or the vintage, colors.
I'm just waiting to hear John if his mic is working yet.
Is he back on?
Maybe not.
Okay. Now the what was I going to say? Now the head I was told was a ripcord from Renegades. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
Is it? Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay, so he's going to be. Is he? I wonder if I can't see. I wonder if they're going to have painted hair on there because that head is sculpted smooth, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. See, now I looked at my Renegades ripcord and it looked like he kind of had like a. Maybe I looked at it. I thought he had kind of like a bandana or something on for some reason. I don't know why I thought that. But yeah, the ripcord figure I have doesn't have no hair on. We're going to go on down to the next one since John's still off.
No, I was just to comment on Hardball before we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Whether, I don't know if you're getting another version or not, but if you, just to kind of play devil's advocate for the people who are like, well, I either want them all Marauders or all vintage, you can kind of, think of it almost like a Pursuit of Cobra version figure, whereas those figures, they came out and they were a little, it had a little flair to the vintage, but they were a new version. They were something new. I understand there's always going to be people that always want vintage or always want something new, but you are getting a Hardball. You're getting modern day Hardball. So, I would love for everyone to love everything all the time. I know that's not the case, unfortunately, but if you kind of, if people are a little more open-minded about it. I know I'm asking a lot, especially of his tank members, but if we're more open-minded and say, hey, hey, we're getting a Hardball. This is awesome, and it's a good-looking figure, and hey, I'm all right with that.
Mm-hmm.
If they had to change the color of any part of it to straddle both worlds, the pants are probably the part you could. I mean, in the vintage, they were brown pants. Like Bobby said, he's got the jersey, he's got the white jersey over the gray shirt, he's got the blue ball cap, he's got the launcher that could blow up the damn planet. As far as I'm concerned, you're kind of covering everything you need to cover there. To Rick's point, I do wish that hat looked a little more baseball cappy. And you can always buy a blue ball cap from Marauder and swap it out. Should we have to? And that's a thing for another day. The club is not going to tool up a brand new ball cap for 1 year. And it would, because it doesn't make sense.
Hey, a quick side note, back to our last subject, we were talking about Sgt Slaughter, and I didn't read on down farther, but Daryl DePriest actually chimed in on that discussion.
Oh, did he?
He did. Contractually, not possible. Sorry, guys.
Probably because of is Sarge back with WWE again?
That guy.
He's always been with WWE. He works behind the scenes.
Remember the SDCC figure? That was during that weird period where there was a lapse, and that's the only reason that figure got made. So
yeah.
Or Sarge, because if it was up to him, he'd probably go in a heartbeat. He is.
Oh yeah, he would.
If you meet him, he is ridiculously proud of his association with G.I. Joe. Right. Like, it's... I met him at a ballpark in Peoria. I know, an exciting venue, but he was at a minor league game in Peoria a couple of years ago, and everybody that was there had wrestling stuff. I was the token, over 30 nerd with my 2 action figures. And as soon as Sarge saw G.I. Joe, he got up from behind the table and his whole demeanor changed because he is so proud of his time with that brand.
If you had a chance to talk to him, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Barely, but yes.
Okay. I'll speak up a little bit then. If you had a chance to meet him back in 2006 in New Orleans, it would have been very apparent to anybody there that he greatly enjoys relating to GI Joe fans and in general. He spent a lot of time with the kids, going back and forth, not just on the show floor as he was signing autographs and such, but also in the hallways, getting on and off elevators, everything. He really enjoyed it. So I mean, it would be great to meet him again, although it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So,
I'm glad I found. I'm glad actually Daryl chimed in on that one. I was surprised to see that.
Yeah.
So
that's
John. John, now that you're back, did you have any comments on Hardball?
Well, okay, this is strictly just my opinion. Okay, I'm not representing anybody here with that, but the end result leads me to believe that we're probably not getting another Hardball. Like, people have speculated it's going to be in the FSS and stuff like that. And let me explain why. What would be the reason of doing one that's half vintage look and half Slaughter's Marauders look? If they were going to put that in somewhere else, why would they split it? So that's the logic I followed there.
Yeah,
me too.
With the whole set, I wish they would have went ahead and replicated the camouflage they used for the recent 7-pack Marauder set. Simply because then you have a more unified look for everybody. I realize that the club is doing as they usually do and sticking to the tried and true vintage look and trying to replicate the vintage figures as closely as they can, but it really is okay to step away from that sometimes and make a decision that's for the better of everybody, because it would have been a better look overall, like say the jersey on the top as it is and then the pants matching that 7-pack. But I did comment when the pictures went up the other day that kind of tired of seeing those legs, because they're on about every third figure.
Yeah.
And it might be different if they swapped them out for, say, the 30th or 50th anniversary Firefly that has different gear on it, at least, maybe. Not give everybody knee pads as well. That's something too. But I overall it's okay, and it's exactly what I expected, with the exception of the arms and the head. Torso, legs, that kind of good stuff, the gear, obviously. The hat, like these guys were saying when my mic cut out the last time, is from Shock Blast, and wow, is it dated. If there was any time to spend on a new part, I think that was it, but obviously, they're probably not going to at this point. One of the things I noticed about all the photographs, and I think somebody might have said something about it earlier, is that they all appear to be actual samples, not digital mock-ups as they've mostly been in the past.
Right.
So this leads me to believe that the club's pretty far ahead of the curve in terms of production and such like that. So any changes, probably they're just not going to happen at this point. I know I did hear Mike saying that they've been responsive to some things in the past. Crosshair got a few pieces of new gear, looked better for it, and Hit and Run previously, Salvo, so yeah, they have in the past when there was time. I just don't think that there's time right now, given the production lead in and where they appear to be. I also think that their focus is on getting FSS 7 into production and all that, and then FSS 8, when and if that comes, we'll see. I shouldn't say if. I'm certain that it will get here. But it's just a matter of who and what and all that kind of thing. So,
and they probably are not going to give us, if they don't give us a regular Hardball, they're probably saving that slot for a Roadblock Tiger Force.
That'd be cool. I'd like to see the Tiger Force Roadblock, especially if it uses some of those canceled 86 style parts that were going to come with that ultimate one from the canceled Amazon pack. I will say, if you go back to the picture for 1 second, Fred, or not Fred, Mike, I apologize. I forget who's in charge here.
Not me.
Not you, Fred. The legs, someone mentioned to me the other day, the legs from the 50th anniversary Gung Ho would have been a great set to use there to go with that torso and arms. And I think the arms are very clever. I mean, the arms are very, very clever. The legs, already having the grenades down one side and all that would have added a little more gear just in the build that would have went with the figure a little nicer. As far as that goes, I'll cast my own at some point if it bothers me that much when I get in my hand. But
Right.
definitely will be changing the hat.
Yeah.
I made a statement, and several people agreed with me on Facebook that this would not have been my first choice on the head. I would have liked to have seen him reuse the Matt Tracker head from the SDC.
Yes.
That's a nice head.
Great. It is. It's great. It's a beautiful new sculpt. That may not have been available to them. That may not have been the choice they made. I think that the Renegade's Ripcord head that was used was pretty nice. I think it's a good choice. If they add a half strength paint app to the head on the hairline, that'd be even better. We can't tell from the photographs; it doesn't appear to have one, but still, I think it's a good choice. The figure's okay. It's right in the middle of okay.
Yeah.
So.
Next, we have Heat Viper. This was pretty much we already knew kind of.
I love gold.
He has the golden tickets.
I want to say, just in my personal opinion, and I think this is part of the problem with some of the club offerings, translating from beginning to end in the process. Whoever's posing these figures for the Photoshop mock-ups and their pictures, they're not doing them any favors.
Yeah.
You can't reposition those straps on the body so they look a little more like the figure. You fiddle with it and get it to look nice, but whoever's doing that right now and not doing them any real favors, I'm afraid. I think a couple of color swaps on this guy would probably benefit the figure overall.
Less gold.
Well, I don't necessarily think that the gold is bad. It could be muted a bit if you wanted to go that route. I don't mind the brassy gold. I think a set of knee pads instead of just a painted knee probably would have benefited that look a little bit. And then the original figure had gray accessories, and having that extra color in there really sets off the rest of the palette. It really emphasizes the black and the gold and the crisscross striping. So I think with one more color in that palette, instead of just on the knee, that you might have gotten a more cohesive look overall. The figure itself is not bad. We've all played with it and gotten it from the 30th and 50th anniversary stuff. One of the things I didn't understand about the design though was the need to flip the mask on the head from one side to the other. That was a little strange. I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was a little weird. And then to go back and use the vintage style accessories on it, where there's no place for the camera hose, the camera hookup to go on the head, that was a little strange too. So,
you want to say hi to the guy? Say hi to the guy.
Oh, hey,
hey,
look at that guy.
Can you tell everyone who your favorite G.I. Joe is? Who's in the room that you always look for?
Hi.
Say hello.
Who's shy?
His favorite
Yeah,
is Destro. If you're looking for.
Destro? Is it the shiny head that he likes? Is
Yeah.
that what catches his eye, Destro? Yeah.
There you go. Time for bedtime? Bedtime. Okay, here you go.
Aw.
Wait for the guys.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Here you go.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you in the morning, pal. Morning.
Getting back to the Heat Viper, I think the club was faced with a weird dilemma in the fact that the original figure, because all that, like John was saying, that harness that was the black by the shoulders, that was all sculpted on. So, on the original, there were very definite lines they could go to. And, the 50th version, that torso is just open. So without some sort of web gear that really adds that black in there, you're left with just kind of a gold lame shirt with a black, panel down the middle. And I think you're absolutely right. I think whoever was posing that, and I'm not bashing whoever did it, but it's just sort of like in hindsight, cinch those up a little more. It would help break up the fact that, he's got sort of the gold member look going otherwise.
I think I think maybe a part swap there on the harness might have helped a little bit.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to take individual pictures because I was out of the house all afternoon. But the harness that comes on Sub-Zero has a full back pad on it, but it seems to be a little bit broader and a little bit fuller through the straps, and that might have accentuated that torso a bit better and completed the look that they were after, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's one of those things that could be easily swapped, but as we've talked about before, given the price point, these figures need to be everything they can be, and sometimes they don't quite hit that mark, unfortunately. So,
Rick, what do you think?
I'm almost in the same place as I am on the hardball. I think it's okay. It's in the middle of the road, but I think the last thing that John just said about that price point, it needs to kind of be a little more. I think that's so true. And I think Fun Pub has done such a good job at giving us the best premium, not just Joe stuff, but Transformers too, the best premium collectible figures. And they have hit that mark, like you guys have said. They've hit that mark many times, Operation Bear Trap, and many other things that I've loved. So that's why they're kind of middle of the road. It's kind of like they have to beat themselves. Right. Yeah. I mean, at this point, most of us on this show, we've seen most of their offerings or played with them or own them or in the middle of trying to obtain every single thing. So I'm middle of the road because I think they do a great job. And this one could have been a little bit more, I think.
I think you're on the money. I'm sure that when the sets are here in June and everybody's got them in hands,
yep.
That the unified look will definitely help. The sets, regardless of what you think about individual figures over the years, I've got pretty much everything going back to Fun Pub's first offering for 3 3/4. The sets always look good as a whole, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And that's something that doesn't always show through on the individual figures. So I'm willing to sit back and see how this goes. And like I said on the previous figure, we're talking about hardball. If it starts to bug me enough, I'll cast parts. And the same goes for everybody else. Obviously you can bash something onto it. You not feel good about having to do it, but if it bugs you that much, it can be addressed. So.
And we get 3 of these, and like everyone said, I mean, I think the picture is going to be way different than what you get in hand, because once you get it in hand, even last year where everyone was complaining about Battle Force 2000 and the heads and everything, but once you got it in hand, besides missing the eyebrows, everything else was fine in my opinion. So yeah. I figure we'll be okay here. Well, just like I said,
I'm going to be a little more negative on it than you are. Only slightly. Well, I'm trying not to be. Really, I am. The heads, and I've discussed this with you guys privately before. The heads, the last couple of years, have just not had the same dynamic look that we've come to expect, both from Boss Fight's previous work on it and Hasbro's previous work on the lines. And even though last year's figures were better, and they certainly are in the FSS that we're about to get, the new heads do look better. They're tighter. They're more well sculpted. The sculpting details do match the bodies a little bit more and stuff like that. With the Battle Force 2000 set, it looks like that was almost completely disregarded. And the set suffered because of it. The helmets look great, but when you get to that transition between the face and the helmet, you can definitely tell it's whoever was sculpting that organic detail was unfortunately not their strong suit. And like I said, I'm glad to see that things are getting better. I'm glad to see that the things are looking nicer, looking tighter, looking more uniform. But that was definitely, I think, a missed opportunity. And it may have been one of those things where the set had to be rushed out, so there wasn't as much time to go back and forth. Going through the manufacturing process now myself, I mean, there's a lot of revision time, and you can't always budget for that in your timeline. We're on our 3rd round of hard copy samples that'll be in a few weeks from China. Well, actually, they'll be in after they're done with their break. That, you know, I had hoped we wouldn't have to do, but you know what? It's got to be fixed. Now, we have the luxury of being able to do that because this is a privately run thing. However, when you got a big ship like Hasbro, they don't stop and turn on a dime to address little stuff like this. I wouldn't think that that would be possible, and certainly not for the club, given, you know, the 1.5 year lead in they have from start to finish to get the product out and ready for the convention and everything else. You know, add that to the fact that, you know, they didn't know that there was going to be a con this year, because up until, you know, a year and a half ago, they would know they're going to have an extension of the contract. So, you know, not that it whole makes a lot of sense, I guess, but you know, you should consider all the factors when you judge harshly and publicly and loudly. So, anyway,
next up is Mutt with Junkyard. If you look here to the right of the original version versus what we're going to get, everything looks pretty. I mean, looks just like it, except I guess it doesn't have the helmet on. That one to the right, but
yeah.
And then the one on the farther right, you'll have to refresh. Is that the?
That's the 25th.
Yeah, 25th. Okay. That's the original version of that figure. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks to me like they may have just changed out the holster. I can't quite tell, but yeah, this is exactly.
Like that's a knife.
Yeah, there's a knife on his thigh now.
Expected from Mutt. I mean, quite honestly, this one was not a surprise. I think the club look, the 25th Mutt's some people call him Thunder Thighs Mutt, but you know what? Look, I don't have an issue with him. He you know, I've always liked the character. I like the 25th build. I think the club did they did a solid job of just translating that over.
He's a big fan of Megan Trainor, I guess.
Thigh master dude.
Base.
He likes his Thigh master,
I guess. Summers. I think this is one of the opportunities to address a shortcoming in a figure that should have been taken, in my opinion. It wasn't, and you know, obviously I'll live with it. But you know, here's a chance to do that little extra and make it an ultimate version of the figure, and it's not being done. So.
The helmet on the one we're getting from the club, does anyone know if that's removable or is that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's removable.
Yeah, it's the 25th version.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like they might have swapped out the pistol sheath.
They did.
For the knife sheath from one of the Copperhead repaints.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, but not all of those are interchangeable. If you've messed around with any of the 25th figures in construction, there wasn't a lot of uniformity in terms of size or armature or anything like that. So it's very difficult to mix and match some parts. Frankly, I'm surprised they were able to do it, but glad to see if that's what happened, that is what's being done.
It could be lift tickets. Lift ticket had a knife sheet.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Way to kill the conversation, Bobby.
Sorry.
No, I mean, it looks good. I mean, I have no real complaints about it. So.
You want to stop a conversation? You just mentioned lift ticket.
I will say that the color palettes this year, everything is nice and bright. It looks good. There's not a lot of variation from the vintage inspiration, and I'm happy with that. You know, sometimes, you know, Hasbro or the club, when they've done an homage to a vintage figure, that palette gets fiddled with. It either goes up or down the scale, and you take away something that was very key to a lot of the characters was their color palette. You know, like say sci-fi, if you move that just a couple of notches down the color scale in your Pantone book, yeah, he's still bright green, but it's not the bright green, you know. So and there's some figures you can do that with, and it's no big deal. It's just you have to look at it and know, okay, this is key to this guy. Airtight's got to be bright yellow. He's got to have a dark green helmet. He's got to have this and that. And yeah, when you start fiddling with that, you know, trying to adjust it or make it cooler or, you know, bring it into the real world, you know, this isn't real world. This is military fantasy toys for children and adults. And the real world doesn't have a lot of bearing on the choices that you make from a design standpoint in terms of color and color combinations and color breaks, because what works in the real world doesn't necessarily work on a toy. I've had that discussion with my business partners several times on our cowboy figures. You know, oh, I don't like that shade. Well, that doesn't really set the whole figure off in the way we were trying to do, and it has to have a little oomph, a little pizzazz visually to make it saleable or to catch somebody's eye, so to speak. I mean, it's the same reason they started doing bright colors in 91, 92, especially 93 with the Vintage Joe line. You know, they're trying to catch people's eye at retail. Otherwise, why do you put a hot pink border on a man's action toy?
Because you feel pretty.
As I look over at Bonsai on the Ninja Force shelf.
Oi.
Oh.
When they made Slice bright orange.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's an orange slice.
Yeah. Well, you know, there were regarding the Ninja Force guys, I am glad to see that we've gotten several pieces from that subset because they're so visually interesting. And while it would be great, you know, if you remember when Slice was released in FSS, there was a lot of people crying for the orange one, and then there was a lot of guys saying we want the red one. And while it'd be great to get both, you know, the orange one had to lose out. And that's one of those situations where bright color always isn't always the best idea. But you know, seeing the Ninja Force guys fills me with inspiration, makes me want to make a Snake Eyes because there's no way they're getting to that. Nobody cares about Ninja Force. All right.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. I see how it is. It's okay.
We're gonna go to the next one here. Lamprey. This one here, I mean, I'm going to troop build it, but I'm just not a real big, huge fan. I think it's the flippers that turn me away from it.
You mean fins?
Yeah, whatever.
Dolphins have flippers.
Yeah, but you know, Mike, they come off.
All I know is just the look of it right there just kind of like killed it for me. But I mean, the helmet doesn't, you know, a lot of people talk about how the helmet should have been maybe not see-through, should have been gray, you know, oh yeah, you know, there's always gonna be something.
Well, again, I think one of the things that's not serving this figure very well is the pose. It definitely doesn't showcase some of the key things about the figure. You know, you can see that it's not the same legs as the original 25th version. It's also not the same arms. It's not the same torso, which is all great because we get a figure that's a superior build to the vintage one. This is what I was talking about. The only visual problem I personally have with it is the knees. And I realize that's probably a decision that was made for manufacturing purposes. The material that joints are made out of is called POM. And POM is kind of a weird kind of polyester nylon type stuff that doesn't take paint. So that's why for a while the Joes had more rubbery knee joints so that they could be painted with the camo patterns. In this case, they use the POM joints, and well, you know, guess what? We get gold knees. If I was designing the figure, I wouldn't change anything up other than putting actual knee pads on there. You know, finding some knees that worked on those legs that had knee pads sculpted on and went with that, and that would be great. As it is, I don't think the figure is bad at all. I don't hate the fins like you do. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
wow, there's a lot of dead space in the air tonight. What's going on?
We're minding and being good people tonight.
There's more of us in the room, so I mean, there's, you know, you don't want to step on people's toes. I get that.
No, I was going to say, I think that in terms of design, I liked the 2003 Python Lamprey quite a bit. I loved that whole set. I thought it was awesome that Python Patrol actually kind of matched their vehicles for the first time, for the most part, in look and feel, and they looked more tactical. To me, the club put the gold where it needed to go. They kept the body. I mean, the visor doesn't bother me because I think it looks head to toe. I just don't have a single complaint about it. You know, the knee pads are different, but at the same time, I get when John's describing the manufacturing purpose. I get why they had to do it. I like this build better than the 25th. I'll say that.
Well, look at it this way: if they would have put black knees in there instead of the gold knees as a highlight, and then it didn't have a crosshatch pattern on it because
it would have looked weird.
Exactly, because the Tampa wouldn't lay down right. Then people would complain about that. So it's a little bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, unfortunately. But
no, I think they made the right call on this. The crosshatch on this looks sick. It really looks good.
I dig the new body parts. I like the choices. Obviously, they use the same legs on the Sub Viper that came with that vehicle they did 2 years ago. Good choices, I think, for a diver, even though some people have said, oh, they're baggy, they're not good for water. Well, okay, maybe they're not, but it still looks cool.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I'm with Fred on this one. I think they nailed this one. And of the figures that if you're doing the comparisons, I think this one's probably the best version. And I like that they did the visor that you could see through because it makes more sense. Now, I like the eels. I'm a big fan of the scuba stuff, so I might be a little biased, but I like that he comes with the flippers and stuff as an added accessory, that ultimate version, if you will. So I think they made some really good decisions with this. And you're right, the paint on this one looks supreme. I think they did nail. I think they nailed this one. Yeah. This is one where I wish everything. I got my one set, but this is one where I wish I had a few more. And I know it's going to be a pain to get a few more, but I'd like 3 more.
There's a bag set waiting list, man.
If you're talking about that troop building disease, just go lay down until that passes.
Oh, it's that disease has festered and is just with me now. So yeah, it's a bad thing, that troop building thing.
Shame.
It'll pass when your bank account looks at you and cries.
Although when compared to other Joe fans, that I think Carson did a crib for someone. His street name was maybe Nomad. I don't know his name.
My.
That one blew my mind away, and I had to show my wife to show her that I'm not that bad. He had like 200 Vipers. I have 3.
Oh yeah.
I was like, look, look how good I am.
I would say Sam's a bad person. He's made space for all of it, but I've seen collections that were close to that size before. I know I saw pictures of Kevin Watts before he started selling that off. He had a very large collection, so it's impressive. But can you imagine dusting all those on loose open shelves?
Not 200 Vipers, no, and 200 of all the other ones. No, I can't.
I knocked over figures in one of my cases coming back in here from getting the mic a while ago. I'm dreading having to go stand those up. Can you imagine knocking down 2
dominoes, man? Yeah. Dominoes.
I never understood the troop building disease because I didn't have it. It's like, well, I just got what was done, and I just needed one bat, one Crimson Guard, and then I have every version of Steel Brigade, and you guys know what a huge Steel Brigade fan I am, but just recently it got me, and I've just been buying every single Steel Brigade that comes on eBay, and I'm like, what am I but I'm just like, I just want every Steel Brigade thing that comes on there. So
that's why it was hard for me to get 2. I got 2 of them recently, and it's been hard to find like perfect ones. And I wanted 2 that weren't exactly the same, because of all the variations. Yeah. And I finally found 2, and I'm like, get them. So I was probably fighting against Bobby on the eBay.
I just got a mint gold head. Mint. He is like perfect.
Perfect. They want about 3 bills.
Yeah. Well, I had to get him, and then someone was selling his backpack and his gun separately. So I was like, out. But it was about that what I paid for it all.
I bought mine. Oh gosh, probably about 1997 or 8, somewhere in that area. No, it might have been just after that. It was during the early days of eBay, and I still paid $100 for it with no weapons then. So I mean, it's always been a rare figure, desirable and expensive. The only reason I bought it incomplete is because I knew a guy that had the backpack here locally and went and paid $5 for it. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm only missing 2 things for my Steel Brigade collection. So if anyone's listening that wants to part with them, the guy who gets it. But I need the gold head file card, and then I need the UK version of Steel Brigade. Now, he was the same exact figure offered in the US, but his file card was different because he was Action Force, and they were called Special Corps. So I've been like dying to find one of those. I'm hoping when I go to JoeCon, someone's got one. But
that's your best bet.
that I would say,
yeah.
Bob, be sure you pimp that out there and let people know. Keep telling. I'll put it on my Facebook page about 2 weeks before the show and make sure some of the vendors have time to look and see what they do for you.
And I'll go on mine.
It's going to be a tough grab.
And I'll go on mine and tell everyone to keep it at home so you can't have it.
Well, it's not going to cost you a lot for me to round that up for you. I expect a mint on seal card target hit and run, please.
Jesus.
And if you have one at JoeCon, just walk up to Bobby and go, "Hey, I just bought this for like $1 in the corner over there."
Oh, no. Post it on the action figure identification page. Hey, what's this? What's it worth?
I think this is a Barbie. What is this? I don't know.
That happens. I'm going to be so pissed. I'm like, wait, am I getting punked? Where's the camera?
All right.
Yes. What it worth?
Yeah. All right. Next up, we got the first reveal we got from the club, which was the Footloose. And it's true to the original version, and it looks like, and I'm not familiar. It looks like it's almost the same as what we got before.
Exactly the same.
It is.
I was looking at the legs. That's throwing me off. Weapons and all, I guess.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, you may or not, the other casual collectors may not be aware, but those legs have only been used twice up to this point. The first time was on Footloose, and the second time was on the SDCC variant Sgt Slaughter. The thighs were used on Cloudburst a couple of years ago, and that's it. So those are actually, in my opinion, the best legs that have ever been sculpted for G.I. Joe, period. They're gorgeous. I use them all the time on all my customs, constantly, but that's because I can make my own. So I'm glad to see him use
it. Rub it in everyone's face.
Yeah, you damn right I will.
Well, the alternative is there's all these Footloose running around on crutches. So,
yeah, that is the only alternative. A little sidebar. I nearly fell over in my tracks 2 years ago when a buddy customizer of mine did the Warthog style Slaughter. And he broke up a cross country and a Footloose to get the parts from it. He's a leg and an SDCC Slaughter for the head. So yeah, he trashed 3 expensive figures to get one very cool custom. But holy crap, man!
Each their own.
No, this one was pretty much a no-brainer. This is what we expected, I think, all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anybody who did not or can't afford one of the Footloose, because he goes for a pretty high dollar still, if you want to settle for the.
I've got 2 for sale. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
So, no, you're fine.
Killing people.
If you're looking for a Footloose and you don't want to pay the secondary market, or if you want to haggle with John, you're more than welcome to. But this one here looks good. I mean, it's about what it's supposed to be, so.
John, maybe I can get someone to buy one of your Footlooses and give me the file card.
You know what? That might be okay.
I was setting up my stuff. So I moved on to the third wall back there, which is now all the club.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I'm finally getting to opening up all my club stuff and setting it up. And I had gotten a Footloose and he was loose and he didn't have the file card. And I forgot about that. And you guys know I have to set them up with a file card. And I frantically text John. And I'm like, I don't have a file card for Footloose. He's like, oh, it's not that hard to find. I'm like, I don't know, man. That figure's rough.
Well, I don't know if I told you, but I'm gonna go through my stuff before the con and dig mine out, and you can have it. I could give a damn about most of the paper. So I mean, having the file cards is cool, but for me, once I read them, that defines a character in my head. I don't need to necessarily remind myself of it, except for target hit and run, because that's all about the
I think we are joined by someone else.
Who invited this guy?
What's up?
Yeah.
Fear is a man's best friend. What?
Gentlemen, live on the center stage.
Bandolero
James
Omega.
Oh my.
All right, James is here. All right, I'll see you later, guys.
Wow. And I was just about to compliment you on the room, Bobby.
Okay.
I like it.
Thanks.
Well, glad you can join us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we're gonna go to our next figure here, which we haven't got the reveal yet, but it's Spirit, and there's the original version, and then there's the 25th version. I guess those have the Slaughter's Marauder set from Big Bad Toy Store.
Yep.
And
there's that camo I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I haven't really collected, Spirit figure for myself, but there's a lot of talk about the head sculpt, and up until this point, we have not seen a new head sculpt yet. So do we think we might actually see it here?
Nope. The club's not going to. Honestly, I don't see the club spending a lot of money in their final year on new sculpts. And again, I'm not bashing the club with that. It just doesn't make a lot of economic sense, because if they develop a new sculpt, they repurpose it. And other than the con and maybe some of the exclusives, you got maybe FSS8, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's funny, because I was coming into this thinking they might do a new head. Mostly because in my mind, I would have thought Hardball is a more intriguing reveal than a repaint of the 2008 Spirit. But since they gave us Hardball first, then it would warrant having a new head.
Oh, you mean in terms of how the club usually does their reveals over the course of the box set?
Yeah, it's typically something decent, and then it's weakest, for lack of a better term, to the strongest.
And,
you're so judgmental.
And I find it, how y'all are saying that, they're not going to put too much money in. And maybe it's because it's a different brand, but in Transformers, that final year in 2016, just about every single figure had a new head sculpt.
Well, I mean, the only other option look, with Spirit, you've got the Billy head, you've got the 25th head, and either they would redo the 25th head, or the only other option I could see is if they were going to tool something new, it could be the Sky Patrol version.
I just had a thought. They could,
or the Air Command. Was it Air Commandos? Not Sky Patrol. It was the Air Commandos Spirit.
Yeah, Air Commandos. I had a thought. If you want to play really weird devil's advocate, I could see them using Xandar's head. Obviously it's not going to have pigtails and stuff on it, but that is an that could be an option. I don't expect that's what's going to happen. But, if you want to play devil's advocate,
it hasn't been reused. That is very true.
So we're saying the weakest to the best, Kavanaugh. Do we kind of think that since we're getting Spirit's reveal later on, that he might actually be really good, or would he be considered maybe one of the dogs of the set?
I'm saying that it would have something a little more intriguing to it.
Yeah.
And again, weak is the word I threw out there. I mean, okay, Footloose. Look at Footloose, Lampreys, Mutt, and Junkyard, and Heat Viper. We pretty much all envisioned what those were going to look like.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, they're just repaints. I mean, I'm not downplaying the original, but it wasn't anything mind-blowing with any of them. Hardball was the first, what our imagination's coming to reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there on, it'll just get progressively more intriguing.
I hope you're right, buddy.
Well, and
I hope you're right.
By that logic, then, if they're going to do a new head for anyone else, Major Blood is for a refresh, and the same head from the if they follow the vintage parts, the same head from the Python set, if I remember correctly, wasn't that the '94 Blood?
Wait, yeah.
Oh, from the O-ring style box set.
Yeah, he was a '94 repaint.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So maybe that, and then they could purpose Blood in FSS8.
Allie,
say it's a long shot too. I mean, what do you think, James?
I mean,
Allie,
let's
do you
think a
know,
25th anniversary era figure needs an update. It's Major Blood.
well, you're my parts man. I would think that I don't think the head was bad. It was small on the 2008 one. The problem was that the helmet didn't fit.
Well,
so
yeah.
would they put a different helmet on it? Could that be done?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've taken the figure apart, which I have, the head has a key in it. So I mean, sculpting a new helmet wouldn't be a big deal to go on that pre-existing head. And the original 25th head sculpt it's not bad, you know.
It's the arm.
It's the helmet and the arm that most people take away from that and gripe about. It's Major Blood. I never cared for him much anyway, so I'm not going to gripe. But if it ends up being a new helmet, I'll open arms, man. I'm happy to see that. That'd be great. I'd love to see that spiky looking helmet. But and as far as the spin goes, that is pretty small in terms of doing a new part to liven something up. So, I'm not going to speculate on the club's budget or any of that kind of thing, except based on past experience. Seeing what they've done in the sets. Last year is a good example, I think. If you look at the Battle Force 2000, you got a lot of new heads spread across the box set and the add-ons, but then something had to give, so we got 8 of the same bat. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of Battle Force, we got the Laser Viper here to the right, and then we have this third-party Laser Viper. What was the name of the company that's supposedly doing this, Fred? Do you remember?
Oh, you would ask.
Now, can we speculate that the
project's died?
Okay, well, can we speculate that maybe that wasn't really a project and this is actually the Chinese factory sending pictures out from over there?
Who knows?
No.
I looking at the first thing I thought when I saw this. Go ahead.
Fred.
I was going to say.
I was just going to say I don't see
the first thing I saw when I looked at that third party, and I'm sorry for stepping on you, Fred. I really am.
Oh no, dude, go
the
ahead.
First thing I noticed is that the backpack and attendant hoses and stuff, those look like digital mock-ups. They do not look like on that figure in any way, shape, or form. Blow the picture up, take a look at them. They're too crisp, too clean. They look too much like printed stuff as opposed to the photograph of an actual figure. What were you going to note about the torso there, Fred?
Well, I was just going to say, if you look at the difference between the third party and the Hasbro one or the club one, torsos are different. And I honestly, the thing I could see the club doing is maybe switching up the gear somehow, but I don't know what, because they would have to alter the original mold to make it fit on new figures. They're not compatible. And the last time it was used, that backpack was used on an O-ring version. So we might just get the Laser Viper again, because I can't think of any backpack rig that they could easily convert over to a laser one.
And I figure come Monday, we will probably know what it will look like.
You think this is got to be the next reveal, because they've been going Python Marauder.
Right. And then they're going to save blood for last for them. So they're going to show us the troops. And I mean, I could be totally wrong. They can show us blood next. I mean, or Smash. I don't know. But the way the club's been consistent over the years, that's the way it should be. So we're probably going to get the one on the right, just recolored is all it's going to be.
And it's not a bad build. It's the only thing that's weird is the accessories that are the only thing that's off. Now, I don't know if how far Hasbro had gone down the pipe with tooling that backpack, altering it to fit these, because we did see the concept case version. But again, if the tooling doesn't exist, then it's going to be like what we got last year in different colors. It's not, and that's not bad.
The only major difference between the figure that we got last year in the 3-packs versus the concept case figure, other than the weapon, was the legs were from the 30th anniversary sci-fi versus the ones from the Iron Grenadier 3-pack figures, or Neo Vipers and Iron Grenadier 3-pack figures. So I've not seen in any of my observations over the last several years at the cons and any of the preview stuff, anything that would lead me to believe that they would issue that backpack. Spend money to tool that up at this late date, or even retool it from a vintage one, and then change everything up to fit a modern figure. Just don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Point of interest when Mike mentioned the Transformers, unless I'm completely off the mark, my understanding is that they kind of got the rug pulled out from under them in terms of that set involvement. I don't think it's it's not. I don't think that they wanted to spend the tooling dollars on the final set to go out with a bang so much as they already had it in the pipeline. There really wasn't much pivot room to cut costs and jump ship. You get what I'm saying? So then yes, the club, knowing for the last 2 years they're not
what they were going to do.
Yeah, this set's a repaint set.
Honestly, anybody who would say anything negative about that is not thinking from strictly a fiscal point of view. If you know that you're going to be able to wind things down in a particular manner, and you have the opportunity to do things and still present a good enough product for your fan base to be happy, and you're walking out the door and can make things a little bit more profitable by not doing as many parts, anybody would make that same decision. Anybody, I don't care who you are, and you can argue and say this and that and whatever, it doesn't matter. Anybody would make that same decision. So the guys that are being negative about it or using it as a point of aggression in regards to the club, you need to rethink your position a little bit. I think you can't dictate how somebody else does business. You can only determine whether you're going to continue to do business with them or not. So
exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was my point. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
If you're not happy and you're just going to sit here and bash it, like it is common for people on His Tank and even Cobra Island to do stuff like that. And usually it's Savage told me years ago, he says people who are bashing them, or some of them probably most people who can't even afford to buy the set to begin with.
That's kind of a truism, I think, in that the people. There have been a handful of people who've been very vocal against club activities and other related activities, and they're the same guys that go out there and say HASBRO and all this kind of crap. And the truth of the matter is they almost seem to be armchair fans, and that they're not willing to even once every couple of years pick up, go across country, make this show, meet the people, ask the questions in person. And just do their own due diligence, really, I guess, is what it boils down to. So, and
when you really think about it, I mean, in my aspect on all this is that, I don't go strictly for the toys, because guess what? I can order this set and sit at home and still get the toys. Yeah. It's more of the point of getting out.
$500 airplane ticket and stay in the hotel. And
not just that. It's just you want to go out and you want to interact with the fandom of people who have the same interests as you do. Me being here in Arkansas, there's only a couple. And I mean, honestly, I'm making the trip to Dallas next week just to go hang out with John at a convention there, because there's nothing here in Arkansas for me.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're going to Dallas to hang out with John because there's nothing to do.
Well, there's a show next week in Dallas.
Let me go ahead and disabuse you of the notion that this is a big show. Swap meet.
But what's better? What's going on up here?
See and buy and people to hang out with and all that. So yeah,
John, you better hope there's not a good rerun of Cosby in his area, or he's not going.
Man, you just take me to a good barbecue place and I'll be happy.
That I can do.
I know
that's abundance. Yeah.
Can I just admit that the only reason I'm flying out to Chattanooga in June is to meet Mike in person?
Oh,
you must really.
Hey, hold on a second.
Did you not catch it? Well, that's right. You don't do Facebook. You didn't see that Unabomber picture he posted up a couple of days ago.
Oh, dude, that picture is so old, and I was in a dark place in my life.
I expected a powder blue leisure suit with that picture, man.
Well, see, let me tell you the backstory why y'all are sitting here making fun of me.
Oh, no.
No, seriously. That was 2 years ago.
Oh, no, we're not done yet. We're not done yet.
No, we're not done. We're not done.
Well, that picture was taken, I think, maybe a month before I shaved, or maybe a couple of weeks. What happened was I lost both my parents in 2014, and I stopped. I just stopped.
Yeah.
I stopped shaving. That was all to it, and I was just, you lose both parents within 5 months of each other.
Yeah.
You just deal with life.
you.
You work. You do your toys. You do whatever, and shaving just wasn't really an option for me. I mean, it's an option. I just chose not to do it. Now, I chose to shave because this is a true story. I'm at AT&T with my wife. I'm sitting on a couch watching TV while she's talking to somebody about a phone. A few minutes later, I get a text message, a picture of the back of my head while I'm sitting in this store, the light shining right down on the bald spot in the back of my head, glowing. So I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? It's time to shave. When you look that freaking bad in public.
I feel you on that one, brother.
Had to go.
Well, so it was like a choir.
Yeah, I ended up shaving. But that's the reason behind that. I finally shaved it off. Now I'm actually letting the beard grow back out, but the hair, I'm not going to do that again. But anywho, back to the Joes. This is we haven't seen Smasher yet. We have Slaughter on the left, the UK version of Smasher on the right.
Bunskill.
And Bunskill.
Bunskill.
And okay. And we think do we think we're even going to get a repaint of the San Diego version, or will we actually get a new sculpt head on this one?
You know what?
Can they use his likeness?
Throw the same logic out there. Most likely, I don't have any insight into the licensing agreement between Mr. Remus and WWE, but most likely they have the rights to the name Sgt. Slaughter.
Oh.
Okay. However, most likely he owns the rights to his likeness. And if they've reached an agreement with him for the likeness usage one more time on the pre-existing head that he already approved, we're probably just going to see that. And that's, you know what? I'm cool with that.
Me too. I don't have the San Diego version.
I was talking with a guy the other day about that figure build, and we were just discussing the look of it. And I remember so many people being so angry that he wasn't a muscle bound knucklehead. And I was like, Slaughter was never that. He was always a big guy, but he was never, he was never a roid freak or anything.
The cartoon is where he was a huge, he was Schwarzenegger on roids.
Cartoon stopped listening right there.
But the one thing is, I wonder if, since we've already had the more realistic build with the Comic-Con version, I wonder if they're going to go back to the retaliation rock one more time. And we've seen customs with it. I don't know. I mean, it's a crapshoot on. I think it's going to depend on
given the club's decision-making process. If they are able to use the pre-existing tools as they sit without moving things around, without incurring any extra cost, without any extra hassle, you're going to see one of those two versions of Slaughter. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the wrestling version, given that that's what the vintage figure had, was the wrestling style legs and waist. So, and again, there's those lovely, lovely footloose legs on the Slaughter variant that you posted. I know some people already know this, but just in case you don't, the 7-pack of the Marauders that came from Big Bad Toy Store, that Slaughter matches the same camo pattern. So there's your Slaughter for your Slaughter's Marauders. Boom.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, this is a tricky one because everybody has it in their head what Sgt. Slaughter looks like and who it is.
Mm-hmm.
You're really you're almost in a lose-lose position if you don't give the San Diego Slaughter to this set. But as John said, the legalities, I have no clue either.
Yeah. I mean, it's at least the head. At the bare minimum, I think they have to try to use the head because, as we've said, again and again, the club's not going to tool anything new this year unless they can get multiple uses out of it. It doesn't make economic sense.
They're trying to create a separate entity, according to their brochure. Unless I'm missing something, you guys chime in. But they're trying to create a separate entity. They're trying to create Smasher as someone else than Slaughter. But
yeah,
you
because
can't get around
that's
that.
true.
You can't get around not giving a Slaughter. It's
the way the description is written, there's the notable figure that's kidnapped, and Sergeant Smasher is a contemporary of Slaughter, so it's a peer. So,
well, Fred, you were talking about the potential build. I was just going to say that head is not going to fit the body that you're looking for, if that's what you were at in your head. So, please.
So
now, go ahead. No, I was going to ask Bobby on standing outside of your role with what you're doing currently with Hasbro, the club, and everything. As a collector, how do you feel about the set for your as a collector? I mean, does any of that fit in with what you collect behind you, or what?
Well, I mean, there's two answers to that question. I mean,
I want the collector's answer. I understand where you stand and everything.
The collector in me is whether I like something or not, I have to get it because I'm a completist. I have
exactly.
I hate the shit out of Star Brigade. I'm sorry, John. I hate it. Here's the problem. I had the conversation with a buddy of mine he's a G.I. Joe fan, but he's not a collector. And as I was putting up the shelves, I said, well, I was running out of room on the vintage wall, and I was like, all right, here's what I'll do. I'll cut out all of 94, and I'll cut out all of Star Brigade going into 93. And
blasphemy!
So I was like, that'll save me room. And then he was like, and I said, oh, I'll cut out Mega Marines too. He goes, well, it's part of the series. It's 82 to 94. You gotta put it out. It's part of it. It's part of the history. And I'm like, no, man, it's fine. It's shit stuff. It's all junk. It's all repaint. It's crappy stuff. They shouldn't have gone to space. They shouldn't have fought with Play-Doh on their bodies. But then it's like I thought about it for like a week straight, and I was like, I can't do it. I have to put them all out, and that's what I did. I put them all out. I made room, and I put them all out. I put extra shelves, and I have all of Star Brigade, all of Mega Marines, all of 94 out. The only thing I won't put out is post 94 and pre 07. That's where I draw the line. But going back to that, it's like I have to get everything. So anything from 2007 on, modern day stuff, I have to get every single version of it, or everything that has come out. So whether I like the set or not from the collector's side, I have to get it. But from my own point of view, is what I think of the set. I really dig it because I was a fan of subsets. I loved, obviously fucking Tiger Force and Slaughter's Marauders and Night Force, all that stuff. I love those subsets. I was a big Slaughter fan when I was a kid. I loved when he rocked the neon blue tank top. I think if I had one when I was a little kid, I'd probably rock it all the time too. But so for them to do Slaughter's Marauders, I'm really excited about it. I'm also excited about the Python Patrol end of it. Although I like version 1 vintage Python Patrol, because that TRU gold Python Patrol came in an era that I don't collect and don't ever plan to. I'm okay having it modern day because it is cool deco. So I like the set. I'm pretty excited to see what's left and to actually have it, put it up, because it's like you said before, once you guys get these things in hand, you realize how great the product is.
Yes.
Bobby, so let me clarify. You're saying that you're out on the Real American Hero collection and the new Sculpt Joe stuff, right? So you're telling me?
Yes. There's a few things
You're not a Joe fan. You're not a true Joe fan unless you have to suck that down and enjoy it.
That's like a Fear Factor episode. It's like, here, drink these camel balls and like cow liver. It's like you just suck that down. We know it's junk and we know it's crap. And we know it smells like shit and looks like junk. But just suck it down anyway because you're gonna love it. And it's like, no, I can't do it.
So then, what would you rather do? Would you rather suck down the cow balls, or put them up on your shelf for a year?
See, I want to tie back to something earlier. Bobby is looking for that Action Force Steel Brigade.
Yeah,
anyone that has one, feel free to make the caveat that he can only buy it if he buys a complete set of all the Valor versus Venom era Toys R Us 6-packs.
Not even a complete set, just 100 figures, and you got to display them for $1.
Hey Fred, how about
Yeah.
Star Brigade custom shirts on the show for at least?
You know, I think we're gonna send Bobby a shirt now that says "I love freaking Star Brigade."
Where karma gets me is one of the spots on my shelf that I'm missing is gears. You know, Star Brigade gears.
Yeah,
it's a super rare figure to get with his file card, and it's like he's gonna cost me $100 for that figure, and I'm like, man,
Wow.
Those are the cow balls that I'm gonna have to swallow.
It's tough being a real completist, isn't it?
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
Here we are on the JoeCon official site. We talked about a little bit earlier. We didn't because we were having technical issues for Bobby, but the sets are all sold out. I mean, they are sold out of the Homefront Heroes. They are sold out of the attendee sets. They are sold out of Thursday Custom Class. They're sold out of loose sets. However, they are talking and hoping to get more added on to add to the sets. If you want to get your name on the list, send an email to whitelist@funpubinc.com for the box and loose set. How do you guys feel about that? Knowing that a limited series or a limited edition is not being so limited when they're adding more to it.
Well,
And I don't think the quantities are going to be that much, because my understanding was you take the loose set times 4, and that's what the box set was. So you would say 300 loose sets, so that'd be 1,200 box sets. Do we feel like they went through over 1,200 box sets?
Wait, say the. I apologize. Say the math again.
What he's getting at, James, is that the numbers for the bag sets, if you look at the brochures, they're down 100 from previous years, from about 400 to about 300, I think.
Okay.
And he's doing rough guesstimations as to the number of box sets that usually equate to that number of bag sets relative.
I haven't logged in the numbers from this year's brochure. It's funny you mentioned that, because I was just adding the numbers. The newest volume is going to be 2008, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I have them all here. There's no real direct correlation. You know, you can't look at a bag set and say, okay, well, multiply that by 1.4 and you'll get your box set.
Right.
It's kind of all over the place. They quit disclosing the box set numbers in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I am going to ask him. I'll write Brian to get the numbers for the book, and we'll go from there. But in my opinion, I think 2014 was 1,000 sets, and I think I think the biggest. This is just me, and this is just me watching the numbers. I think the reason why it sold out so fast is that the last 2 sets have been available for so long that they severely tapered their numbers. I can't, and mind you, this is according to the numbers that they give us publicly. I mean, I'm looking at right now. 2009 through 2011 was only 500 sets, with 300, 300, and 325 bag sets. When they did the reissue of the October Guard set in 2012, that was only 600 box sets, is what they said publicly. And then my understanding was that the re-release, which, by the way, Variant Hunters, I'm going to tell you to put yourself on the list for this year. If they're doing 2 different runs, there'll most likely be variations.
Yeah, there was in the October Guard set some significant changes, wasn't there?
Yeah, 4 or 5 of them all have variations, and one of them, Iron Bear, has an unreleased strap. I think this is my speculation. I intend to ask them as well. I think that they ended up, if you go submit your order, they come back with samples, they make changes, final product. I think the second run was the initial. You know what I mean? They didn't make the changes that they made the first time. That's just my speculation.
As far as personal opinion on the thing, like you first asked there, Mike, it doesn't bother me that they're extending these sets because I think, I'll just say that it duesn't bother me. It's a chance for people who obviously are a little late to the game to get in and get something during the last club year. And if it can be done, that's still up in the air, we won't know that for probably a few weeks, I'd imagine, as China goes through their New Year's celebrations in different parts of the country and stuff. Without knowing that for sure, I don't think it would be a big deal. I mean, does anybody really have a problem with them raising the print run on the sets from whatever it is, by 20%, 30%, or whatever?
Me personally, I don't, but I'm going off of what I've read on HIS. We all know we're on HIS.
Those guys that wouldn't buy a box
That's
set
your
anyway.
first problem.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make conversations. Okay.
Look,
I'm just going off of what I read on HIS. Some people are upset about it. Me personally, I don't, because that gives me an opportunity to go buy another box in a loose set, so I could true build more. And if we do get a variation, I think that's cool. Something a little different. If that was to happen. So that's my 2 cents. Me personally, it doesn't bother me at all.
There's 2 things I could say about the people that don't want extras made. One, they're scalpers and they're trying to make the most they can off the set. And 2, they're just dickheads that are like, no, I don't want everyone to have one. I want to be one of the few 500 that have a set, and no extra people should have one. It's like, hey, man, if that's the case, you shouldn't have a set. It's like, I don't want you to have a set. But it's like, the more get them out to everyone. I want everyone to have a set.
Yeah. That's Bobby nailed it. I want every Joe fan that wants to get a copy of this year. Dude, blow the lid off of this set, because this is the last year for Fun Pub. So you know what? How awesome would it be that, within reason, I don't want them to sit on inventory and, and have that bite them in the ass. But I'd love to have it be where, people who at home who want the non-attending can have the attending. Everybody who goes to the con who wants to have a box and a bag can have both, because I just want to see I want to see the fandom happy.
I will say there's a little bit of a caveat to that. I have no problem with box sets and bag sets being extended, but the attendee-only bonus items, those are from making the trip.
Yes.
You know what?
Yeah. No. With you, Home Slice.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, I want to go through the chat here, some questions. This question is going to be really towards John and Bobby, and it's from Brian Greenwood. And only answer if you're able to answer this question, of course. Can you give any hints about the theme of the custom class at JoeCon?
I'm not going to say anything more than what I've said previously, in that it's red. And as far as that goes, let me add one more thing to that real quick before Bobby chimes in. As soon as I get the thumbs up from the club, I'll post what limbs you need to bring. But I will say you're going to need arms and legs this year. I think everybody's going to really like the figure. It's something that's been a topic of conversation off and on for several years. And the bonus weapon for building the figure in class is even cooler than last year's were. And if you got last year's, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Anything?
Well, Ryan on the chat, thank you for your question. If you're on the fence, if you're asking because you're on the fence about whether to do the class or not, I would say get off the fence and go in class, because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a really good time, and you're going to be really, really happy with what you're getting out of the class.
Right. I'll tell all my friends right now, do not miss this class period. Don't. You're going to want to kill yourself when it's over if you do.
Nice.
Wait, one more thing. Don't miss the class.
Don't miss the class.
Wait, so miss the class or don't miss the class?
So if I'm there, I should go drinking instead?
Or take the drink to the class and drink with them. That's
there you go.
Bingo.
All right.
Okay. That I could a flask on me while I'm helping with the class. So I mean, you know.
What do you think I carry in that?
I
toolbox?
thought John was supplying the beer.
It is. It is.
Whoa,
There we go.
whoa. I'll bring some beer. Respectable, but I ain't sharing with you.
Well,
Oh,
I see.
Just so you guys, both you guys knew, he chimed back in. He has already signed up for the Thursday class, which is actually the hardest class to get into for JoeCon. But if you are thinking about getting the custom class, there are a few seats left on a Wednesday. So definitely get in on that one. Try to get a sell, that'd be nice.
Admittedly, it is a little bit of a hassle with the extra travel day and the extra night in the hotel. But I promise you, when this is all said and done, you will be very happy that you did it. I can't be any more explicit than that, but you need to be there.
Nice.
All right, now we're going to go to another question, kind of be a discussion question for us. Where to go? Hold on. Okay, Christopher Kelly wants to know. He's really interested in hearing our guesses for con souvenirs. I've voiced my opinion on a number of sites, Facebook as well, Cobra Island, and His Tank. Here's what I think. And we know already the club has come out first time ever in Joe or BotCon and said there will not be no vehicles. We speculated this on the last show by the wording in the brochure, and it was finally the club came out and said, you're right, no vehicles, but we will have other special offerings, is what we were told. In my head, I think we're going to get 2 3-packs, Saw Vipers and Saw Vipers and Rock Vipers. The 2-pack, I think, is going to be Barbecue and Low Light. And the parachute figure, I have 2 possible ways. And you might think I'm crazy, but I think we might actually get a version 1 windmill as a drop figure.
That would make a certain kind of sense. Absolutely.
Now that's totally my speculation. I haven't twisted nobody's arms. I haven't threatened nobody, but that is strictly my guess. Now I could be totally wrong, and maybe I am, but that's me personally. But
when you
what
turn
do you
out to
guys
be wrong, when you turn out to be wrong, I'm going to point my finger at you and laugh, just so you know.
Well,
I don't give a shit. Go ahead and
whoa!
laugh at me. They all laugh.
This program was brought to you by the Children's Television Workshop. Viewers like
we are past PG-13, buddy. Might as well get it.
oh, it was that kind of party.
I think Mike's spot on. I think the Saw Viper and the Rock Viper are kind of no-brainers. They were part of the 2003 set. You know, it would be kind of cool to round out the roster. I don't know on the Marauder side, because part of me doesn't think the club is going to go and just duplicate figures that were already out from in the original the Big Bad Toy Store set at the same time. They're doing it with Spirit, so I don't know.
I will say that if you change the build on Blowtorch, that would be cool, all that kind of thing. But what intrigued me,
You mean barbecue or?
Yeah, barbecue.
Blowtorch. Sorry,
John. We don't ever need another Blowtorch again.
Yes, we do.
Right.
No, we don't. I was going to say, one of the things that has been absent from the conversation, except in 1 or 2 small places, is they don't say anything about small play sets. And if you recall, during ROC, there were a couple of small play sets that did get tooled up again. The Cobra Bunker, and then I forget what the proper name for the GI is. It the GI Joe
Outpost Defender?
Outpost Defender. That's the
Outpost
one.
Defender.
Those would be very interesting souvenirs, painted up in their respective team colors.
Yep.
I think.
We got the law last year.
That's why I told Mike the same thing, John. I told Mike the same. Those are the things that I was guessing at.
And I am totally cool with the little places. I think I never had those. I mean, getting last year's, I was actually really intrigued in having that. Someone actually. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's that thing that you always look for as a customer or as a retailer that you're trying to give to the customer something that's really value added to the set. You know, there's your built-in small diorama piece. It was, they attempted it with the bunker from the original Red Shadows set. Unfortunately, it was not a great choice of parts, but it doesn't suck either. It's a nice display behind your box. So you get that value added thing that adds something to your box set and build a story around. I've talked ad nauseum about how much I wanted to get the Stagecoach done for our Cowboys, because that's a vehicle and a play set that if you're buying the figures, that's what you display them all around on your shelves, you know, in your display cases and what have you. So that kind of thing would add a lot of oomph to the overall package if it were to happen. Now, I'm not speculating that they're going to do it or not. I'm just saying I'd like to see that. To be cool as crap.
Someone told me.
I was just going to say, my interpretation of the language they used when they said specialty sets, it's not going to be anything Marauders or Python related. It's going to be just some fill-in.
That'd be cool. A box full of drivers.
I mean, random, yeah.
Python control bad. Oh, wait.
Done.
One guy pointed out earlier when I did a Facebook Live video that he thought maybe the freebie exclusive, you know, we're used to a vehicle or once in a while we've gotten a figure, but he was thinking it might actually be a Python Patrol raft boat, you know, the raft we got in
the landing craft
concept.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that's a good guess.
Yeah, that is a good guess.
And that would go with your Lampreys.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And that's while it may not be 100% correct speculation, that's good educated guesses for sure.
Let me see here. I'm trying to find that question.
Bobby, just tell us what's in it, damn it.
No.
Some stuff.
You know,
all right, Bobby.
No,
I want you to look at us and nod if it's Fatal Furries.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Let me go to that tab.
I did say at the beginning of the podcast I was missing some stuff. So.
Not anymore.
Wasn't there an Action Force Steel Brigade file card you were after?
There you go.
Yeah.
James, I was actually talking to Chris since he was out in the UK and he just got back, and I was like, "Hey man, have you ever seen the Action Force UK Steel Brigade?" He goes, "Yeah, I have my original one from when I was a kid."
Wow.
And I was like, for about 20 minutes text message conversation, I was trying to get him to sell it to me.
So, any headway?
No. Yeah.
He'll break.
I'm gonna have to come up with a clever bet or something to joke on to get it from him.
There you go. Just compliment him on his hair. He's a sucker for that.
We are
I didn't know you had one.
We were winding up to about a couple hours. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about as far as the club stuff or anything in particular we got going on? John, you got anything? Or Kavanaugh, you're talking about doing another Kickstarter here soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I need to get off my duff and finalize that.
Yeah, you're doing what is it, volume 2.1?
Volume 2 is sold out. 3 is inches away from being sold out. So let me ask you guys and everybody listening: do you think it's better to just do a volume 2 Kickstarter or do a volume 2 and 3 Kickstarter?
Both.
In one shot. Yeah.
I was gonna say, look at 3D Joe's last one.
That's what I was just fixing to say.
Your prices individually on your books are so inexpensive, James, that there's no reason not to do both at once, I would think.
Yeah,
okay.
Because I mean, when I signed up for Carson's, I was like, it's a no-brainer. Just go ahead and do both of them and be done with it. Now, I signed up for both. Yeah. So you need to go ahead and do both of them so I can go ahead and get those copies as well. Copies as well.
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, rip that son of a bitch right off. Run with it. Now, John, your stuff is in the pipeline, or how are you looking at?
Like I said earlier, we're waiting, which will probably be at the end of this month. We're waiting on 3rd round test shots to make sure all the fit and finish and everything's correct. the knees are still not 100% perfect, you know, and that's unfortunate. There are some changes that have been made that weren't carried through on all the pieces for a particular set of parts. You know, just some things that need to be handled, growing pains, if you want to call it that. As soon as that's out of the way, I expect to be focused on putting together Kickstarter 1.5.
Nice.
The artist, the artist who's doing our horse, has got the basic model, I would say 95%. And as soon as that's done, I'll be sending it off to print so I can show it off. And I think I mentioned last time I was on, but just in case I didn't, Kickstarter 1.5 will be the 4 different versions of the horse, 3 different versions of the mule that's going to be made from some of the horse parts, the 5 figures that didn't get funded in the Kickstarter this first time around. The it'll have 5 additional buckaroos, 10 additional sets of boot heel loot, gear, and accessories, 2 2-packs, and we're going to throw the stagecoach in there and see if we can make it stick this time. So the good thing about this KS is because the tooling is complete for the figures in this first round of stuff, we're only going to be after the production run money. So that will make each tier somewhat less than it was the last time. So anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Nice.
Hopefully that will gather momentum a little bit, and having the first line come out, or, you know, be ready to show final paint samples and packaging around that time, then, you know, hopefully that will make will inspire some confidence. Let's say that.
Bobby, a lot of people don't know, you know, besides the G.I. Joe side at Hasbro where you work at, you did some the 12-inch Marvel Legend lines. I can't remember. Did you do all those, or just some of them?
I did all of them. Yep.
So you did Deadpool. You did all 3 variants of Deadpool.
Yep. I love that line.
Hey, did you do this? Did you do this recent cable that's hitting right now?
The 6-inch cable?
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that one.
Hey, Bobby, you know, you're talking about the 12-inch Marvel Legends stuff?
Yeah.
Where's my Wolverine, bro?
Ah!
I need that. Where's my product sample? I mean, I know it's getting ready to hit any second now, but, you know, I thought we had a rapport. You know, I thought we were working together. Where's my?
Didn't I say at the beginning of the show there was some stuff I needed?
Oh. You want to walk down that road? Wasn't there a big box of stuff you just got and haven't done anything with?
Oh shit!
Oh,
we're gonna play that game?
Yeah.
Let's get ready to rumble,
guys. I'm getting popcorn. Does anybody need anything?
Boxes.
I expect by now, you know, I'd expect to see a little bit of paint, something, but no.
Yeah.
One more question here, and this is
oh, he's trying to gloss it over. Go ahead, Mike.
Wow.
I got one more question here, and this came from our friend Skinny. He wanted to know, Bobby, what does it say? What would Bobby's ultimate set be if he was in charge of making the concepts? What would be your set that you would want to see made?
I'm not answering.
Vala versus Venom.
Tell Skinny he gets no answers from questions. No, I'm just kidding. My ultimate set. Wow.
9 Steel Brigades.
So
Cobra Law Troopers.
Different countries.
So there was a canceled Steel Brigade set that was originally supposed to be paired up with the Destro, the Iron Grenadier set that the club did, but there was a set of Steel Brigade figures. Now, it was basically just a bunch of guys repainted in powder blue and with Steel Brigade helmets on. So I wasn't super crazy about it. So, you know, I probably wouldn't lean towards a Steel Brigade set. I would love a Cobra Law set. I would do, you know, a Globulus.
Nailed it.
I would do a Royal Guard. I'm a big Serpentor fan, so I would love to see a Serpentor figure redone. The 25th one is good. It was good for what it was, but it's like if I were to like choose a figure from modern day that I would love to redo, it would probably be Serpentor. I'd give him a more angry head instead of that bald kind of deer in headlights look. But, yeah, I'd probably do Cobra Law. That'd be a really fun set, I think, for me. Yeah, I'd probably lean that way. Or maybe something like a missile command headquarters would be cool. Oh wait, we got that, didn't we? Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, but if I recall, the knees on one of the figures were terrible.
Hey, who invited this guy? If John's on the podcast, I'm not coming on anymore.
I just photographed that for the book, by the way.
I'm not taking this abuse. Yeah,
that actually. Let me give you a little anecdote here. It's funny, or I found it funny. I hope Bob found it funny too. But one of the first conversations that we had last fall, when we were talking about the outlay for the custom class and what his part was going to be and what all that kind of thing, was he asked an honest opinion on that set, and I tried to be tactful. But I think I hurt his feelings a little bit. He's holding a grudge.
These Joe fans, they're a fickle bunch.
There they are. I think they're a fickle bunch. You go to the Transformers side, they're a bunch of bitches over there.
Hold up, except for me.
Yeah, except for Rick. All right, well, we're going to already call it. Keep keep watching us over on Facebook, on our Facebook page, as well as Joe Battle Lines, and we'll keep updates as everything comes out for the club and everything that they tell we see. We'll get out there as well. And if you're interested in following the page, getting information, or talking to other fans, or meeting up with other fans, we do have an unofficial GI Joe JoeCon page on Facebook where we strictly post everything the club puts out, and you talk to people, finding out information, and some people aren't getting the information and they find the information there. So definitely check that page out. Check out our Facebook page for the show, as well as Joe Battle Lines. And that's about it, I guess. Anyone else got anything intelligent to say?
I will say intelligent, no, but I'm going to shill. There's what Mike was talking about earlier. There's a local swap meet for the branch of GI Joe Collectors Club next Saturday here in Carrollton, which is just north of downtown by a few miles. I don't think there's any admission. It's free. So if you're in the area, if you're a local guy and you're always looking for Joe stuff and you can't find a fix, come on out and see us. If you need to, you can contact me on Facebook. I'll be happy to give you details. There's already a link on my personal page. I'll put one on the Chicken Fried Toys page and all that. Mike, I'll hook you up with the same information if you want to. And stop by, say hi. I'll have the Dime Marvel Legends stuff there, and some cast crap and some crap I need to get rid of. So come buy it.
Nice.
And feel free to bring your UK Steel Brigades to that show exclusively.
You know what, Fred? You want to go on the list as well with John?
Damn! Y'all just kissing him off.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm starting my own GI Joe podcast next weekend.
Guilty by association, Mike. You're guilty by association.
It's going to be called just a better GI Joe podcast.
Nice.
Oh!
Wow.
Boom!
Wow.
Are you going to have your own theme music?
You know it.
Okay. Apparently what the thing is nowadays. So, all right, guys. You'll catch us in 2 weeks. We'll probably have everything else and maybe some more information, maybe some more guest announcements, and maybe another hotel block that'll already be sold out by the time we get around. But we're going to call it a day there, and y'all catch us in 2 weeks, and we'll see you then. Okay, guys? Thanks a lot.
Thanks for watching.